Feel free to take my wallet. After 25 years of employment, I was living a poor life with monthly take-home pay of only $1,500. I met an old lady one day. The runaway old lady claimed to be penniless. Unable to ignore someone in a worse situation than myself, I decided to give her all my savings. Then a few days later, I unexpectedly reunited with her in a way I never imagined. As of today, you are fired from this factory. Afterwards, my life took a complete 180-degree turn. My name is Kevin. I am a self-admittedly dull man who currently works on a factory line. I am turning 40 this year. Due to my low salary of $1,500 a month at this age, I live a modest life in a small apartment, no wife, no kids, leading a single life. Although I have no family, there is one being I can call family. Rotisserie, I'm home. Meow. I pick up rotisserie. The one who always greets me when I come home is a ginger cat named Rotisserie. I found this kitten abandoned and took it home not long ago. The name Rotisserie came about because I picked up this cat on my way back from buying chicken at a supermarket. I debated between Rotisserie and Burrito, but now I'm glad I chose this name. Though still a kitten, Rotisserie is in its mischievous phase, causing me quite a bit of trouble. So, today, once again, Rotisserie has escaped from the apartment. Taking my eyes off him for just a moment, he seemed to have dashed out through the window, and in a panic, I rushed out of the apartment and ran in the direction Rotisserie had escaped. With my usual lack of exercise, I couldn't keep up with the kitten's sprint and was panting heavily as I shouted, "Rotisserie, where are you?" I received odd looks from passers-by, wondering if I should have stuck with other name as I searched. A park a little beyond my apartment caught my eye. Thinking there was a chance, I peered into the park. There, on a bench in the park, was the old lady, with Rotisserie being petted by her. "Rotisserie, so you were here," I blurted out loud, and the old lady, seeing me, hurried to leave. Meow. However, it seems Rotisserie had taken a liking to this old lady. Following her slowly, Rotisserie rubbed its body against the old lady's leg as she stopped. The old lady looked troubled. Seeing Rotisserie, who usually shies away from people, this attached was impressive, and while admiring this, I picked up Rotisserie. "Sorry about my cat." "Oh no, I'm the one who should apologize. I petted him without knowing he was someone's cat. I'm sorry." The old lady, who spoke with a gentle voice, exuded a certain grace. Yet, despite the cold, her clothes were tattered. In the midst of winter in January, she wore a clearly worn-out apron and sandals, suitable only for a quick errand, without a coat. She looked as if she had left home in a hurry. Clearly, she seemed cold. Coincidentally, I too had rushed out of my house in a hurry chasing after Rotisserie, feeling cold and almost nothing but what I had on. "Rather than here, why don't you come to my place?" My name is Dorothy Miller. I learned that Dorothy had been living with her son and his wife, but had impulsively left home after a minor argument. She had left her phone at home and, although she thought she had her wallet with her, it seemed she had lost it at some point. I guess this is what they mean by when it rains, it pours. After leaving, she couldn't bring herself to go back home and wandered aimlessly until she found that park and decided to rest on a bench. That's when Rotisserie came by her side, followed by me. "Your home is near Solar Station. That's 6 stations away from here, isn't it?" I was genuinely impressed by the distance she had walked. "I must be bothering you, Kevin. I shouldn't be stubborn and should just go home now," Dorothy said, standing up, but it was nearly time for the last train. Since it's a 20-minute walk from this apartment to the station, it would be impossible for her to get home today. I considered taking a taxi, but taxis are only available at the station square. To make matters worse, I dropped my phone yesterday while trying to take a photo of rotisserie, and now the screen is completely shattered. I can't make calls, send emails, or use messaging apps anymore. Since nobody contacts me anyway, I had planned to get it repaired after work tomorrow, so my phone is currently out of service. Public phones in the area have been removed over time, so I decided to make her an offer. Dorothy, would you like to stay here tonight? Oh no, I couldn't possibly impose on you to that extent. But Dorothy, you don't have any cash on you right now, right? Embarrassingly, I don't have much on me either. I also mentioned my broken phone and that I couldn't do anything until tomorrow. It's cold this season, and it would be terrible if something happened to you on your way home. Besides, rotisserie. Meow. Rotisserie seemed to have taken a real liking to Dorothy, staying on her lap even after we got inside. It was going to be tough to get him to move. Well, it seems rotisserie is also saying I should stay, so maybe I will take you up on your offer just for tonight. Yes, please do. Fortunately, I had an extra bed at a spare room of my home, so I gave it to Dorothy. I let her rest there. I do have fights with my son like this sometimes, but this time it turned into quite a heated argument, and I was cooking, so I just left with my apron on, which is embarrassing at my age. Dorothy chuckled. It's nice to have a family you can argue with. I'm envious. Kevin, how about your parents? Oh, my parents have both passed away. Oh my, I didn't know. I'm so sorry. No, please don't apologize. Saying that made Dorothy look somewhat relieved. Then, I decided to share a bit about my past. My parents passed away just before I graduated from middle school, and as their only son, I inherited everything, including their debts. The debt was from a shady loan company, and the interest was mercilessly high. The company's representative said, if you can pay back the $30,000 your father owed, we'll cut you some slack on the interest. So I decided to start working right after middle school. At the time, with no relatives to rely on, that was the only option I thought I had. I found a job at this factory, which hired middle school graduates, and have been here ever since. Now a 25-year veteran. Kevin, after 25 years on the same factory line, you could be a supervisor or something, couldn't you? Are you a supervisor? No way, I'm still a regular employee because I only finished middle school and have no further education. What? That's ridiculous. Really? The factory manager, Jake, and the current supervisor, Ryan, always say, you'll never get promoted because you only finished middle school. You'll be a regular employee forever with this salary. Dorothy's eyes widened. By the way, how much is your salary? It's been about $1,500 take home since I joined. I've been able to keep that amount since I finished paying off my parents' debt. While paying off the debt, I allocated $200 each month to repayments. Despite barely making ends meet with rent and food expenses, I've managed to get by. Given my circumstances, marriage was out of the question. Before I knew it, I was 40, with only rotisserie, the rescued cat, as my family. Dorothy listened to my story, nodding and occasionally expressing surprise, proving to be a good listener. I wondered if this is what it would have been like if my mother were still here. I'm sorry for talking about such things. It must not have been very interesting for you to listen to. No, I asked you to tell me. It's incredible that you've been working so diligently and even paid off your parents' debts. That's nothing. I think the kind person was the man from the loan company. I just did what I had to do. However, being praised for the first time made me feel unexpectedly bashful. After that, Dorothy and I went to bed, and since I had work the next day, we left the house together. Rotisserie didn't want to leave Dorothy until the very end, and it was a struggle to separate them. Rotisserie will be in a bad mood all day today. Then, Dorothy and I made our way to the local station before work. and I stopped by a drugstore. I withdrew all the balance from the ATM there. It was only about $20 left, but it should cover the train fare. Dorothy, you'll need some cash to get home, so please take my wallet with you. What? Surprised by Dorothy's reaction, I managed to smile. It's not much, but I think it should be enough to get you home. No, absolutely not. You can't just hand over your wallet to someone you hardly know. But you don't have any pockets in the clothes you're wearing now, Dorothy, and it's better to have a wallet than to carry cash in hand. It would be terrible if you were robbed while holding the money. But what about your living expenses? I've already accounted for that. My payday is coming up soon, so it'll be fine. After some back and forth, Dorothy finally agreed and accepted my wallet. And until the very end, she kept saying thank you before disappearing into the station. When I returned home from work, Rotisserie was sitting sadly on the bed Dorothy had used. But since Dorothy has her own home to return to, I couldn't keep her here. Given that Rotisserie had grown so attached to her, I had no hesitation in giving her my entire wallet. Well, payday is the day after tomorrow, and I guess I can survive without eating for a couple of days. A few days after meeting Dorothy, I went back to my routine of work and home, cherishing my time with Rotisserie. The 2 days until payday were tough, but I managed with just water, and after that, my salary came in so I could eat properly and get my phone repaired. I was living an unremarkable life, and this is exactly what my life was like. Kevin, I need to talk to you. One day, out of the blue, Jake called me over, which took me by surprise. Jake had joined this factory a few years ago. Though he's a bit younger than me at 38, he looks down on someone like me, an older but regular employee, because of his position as a factory manager. Especially after knowing my background, he would only ever insult me with remarks like dropout, older but still a regular employee, and guy with a $1,500 salary. I don't know if it was his way of blowing off steam, but he kept up his petty harassment, and it was taking its toll on me. But since he's the factory manager, I couldn't afford to resist and risk losing my job, so I just let it slide. Naturally, when Jake said he needed to talk, it made me wonder what it could possibly be about. But it also crossed my mind that he could actually have a serious conversation with me. The place I was called to was the factory's reception room. I rarely enter there, so my heart was pounding unnecessarily. Could it be? Am I about to be fired? I couldn't think of anything I had done wrong, but sudden layoffs are always a possibility. If that happened, would I be able to find another job right away? And what about Rotisserie's food as he grows? With these thoughts, I opened the door to the reception room, where Jake, an elegant older woman, and a man in a suit were seated across from each other. The man seemed to be about my age. I didn't recognize him. As I tentatively said, "Excuse me," the woman looked up. Seeing her face, I was stunned. It was Dorothy. Dorothy. Why does this dropout know your name? I had a little encounter with him the other day. It's none of your business. When Dorothy said that coldly, Jake awkwardly looked away. Kevin, I really appreciated your help the other day. Thank you so much. No, Dorothy, now in a sophisticated suit, looked entirely different from the apron-clad figure I had met before, embodying the image of a female president. The man about my age, sitting next to Dorothy, stood up and thanked me. Kevin, thank you for taking care of my mother the other day. Thanks to you, she safely returned home, and our family is relieved. No, please, you don't have to thank someone like me. Being thanked so politely by someone who clearly held a higher status made me extremely nervous. But to give away your wallet like that was all I had at the time. Even so, it's not something many people would do, giving away their entire wallet to a stranger. You think so too, right? It's not something easily done. Dorothy and the man were saying this to me, but I was just filled with embarrassment. Dorothy, why are you here, and who is this man? As I finally managed to say that, Jake exclaimed, "What? You don't know who these people are?" "I know who Dorothy is, but I don't know the man," I honestly replied. That's when Jake sighed. "This is what I hate, dealing with dropouts like you. I'm sorry, everyone, for his ignorance. He's a dropout and doesn't know much about the world," Jake said. "These people are the president and chairman of our parent company. You're living in shame not knowing even that," Jake scolded me. I was shocked by Jake's words. "Wait, Dorothy is the president?" "No, I used to be the president, but now I'm the chairman. This son of mine is the president." The man was Dorothy's son and the president of the parent company. I had never met or even known the names of such high-ranking individuals from the parent company, given our lack of connection. "I'm sorry, I really didn't know." I wondered if I had said or done anything disrespectful to Dorothy that day. Was it even rude in the first place to have her stay at my humble home? The thought made my face drain of color. "There's a reason we asked you to come here today," Dorothy said. She looked at me with a serious expression. "You are being terminated from this factory as of today." "Oh no. I knew it would." "Will the termination process take long?" Dorothy asked Jake. "No, if it's an order from you, I can process it immediately, right now, effective today." "All right, that's fine then. Thank you." Jake quickly stood up and left the reception room. As he left, he muttered, "Finally rid of that dropout," but his words didn't register with me. The shock of being fired was greater than anything else. Within an hour, Jake had truly terminated me from the factory, effective today. "Here's your termination notice. Don't ever come back to our factory." That's what Jake said as he handed me the termination notice. "Kevin, let's go. Please, come with me." Dorothy called out to me, still in a daze, and left with Mr. Miller. I hurriedly followed them. She said, "Get in," and I got in with them in the black car that Dorothy and the others had gotten into. "Where are we going?" "We're going to our company." "Your company as in?" "The parent company of this factory." The president, her son, gave a reassuring smile. Minutes later, I found myself in a very comfortable car, on my way to the parent company for the first time. And the place they took me to was the presidential office on the top floor. Still in my work clothes, I was led there and told to sit on a plush sofa, which I did without objection. The women I saw before entering the president's office, probably secretaries, seemed to give me a cold look as if wondering, "Why is someone like him here?" Feeling out of place and fidgety, Dorothy spoke up. "The day you handed over your wallet, I thought to myself, what an incredible person he must be." Incredible? I'm not. The truth is, people generally only think about themselves. When I was running the company, I saw so many people like that. I just assumed everyone was the same. But Kevin, you were different. You helped a complete stranger, offered me a place to stay, and in the end, even gave me your wallet containing all your savings. Thinking about it now, maybe what I did was a bit odd. But then again, you were really in trouble at that time. I really wanted to thank you, so I hope you don't mind, but I looked inside the wallet you gave me. Your driver's license was in there, so I ended up finding out about you. I was surprised to learn you worked at one of our subsidiary factories. That was a surprise for me too. From what you told me before, it sounded like your work environment wasn't the best, but after seeing Jake's attitude today, I got a pretty good idea of how you were being treated at the factory. Someone as sincere as you shouldn't have to endure that. You need to know your own worth. Dorothy said that with a sincere look, and it warmed my heart. I had always thought I was a person of no value, so it was the first time someone spoke so passionately about me. I couldn't help but deeply admire Dorothy as a person. Kevin, I'm going to hire you as my personal assistant at our company. You'll be paid a salary befitting the position, so don't worry." What? I couldn't help but let out an incredulous sound again. "I believe in you. You have the kind of reliability that is invaluable in a person. Learn things you couldn't learn at the factory under my guidance." Refusing Dorothy's offer seemed rude after everything she said, and I felt that I would indeed learn a lot from this new opportunity. A few days later, I found myself back at the factory where I used to work. Seeing me, Jake approached with a smug, malicious grin. What is a dropout like you wearing a suit here? Is this some kind of cosplay? Sorry, but we're not hiring mid-career." Yes, today I was at the factory dressed in a suit. Yes, I'm here on Ms. Miller's behalf. This is a document from her. What? On Ms. Miller's behalf? Yes, I've been working as her secretary since the other day. What? After learning that I was working as her secretary, Jake barged into our company, proclaiming, "If a dropout like him can do it, I can do it even better. Hire me as an apprentice secretary." He was repeatedly escorted out by security. As this behavior persisted, Dorothy eventually appeared and dismissed him, stating, "We don't need someone like you who looks down on my benefactor." Following that, Jake was demoted, relegated to just another worker on a factory line. It was Mr. Miller and Ms. Miller who decided that Jake was not suitable for the position of factory manager. Since then, I've been working hard every day as Ms. Miller's apprentice secretary. My salary increased significantly, and I was able to move to a better place. I even managed to get a full set of suits, marking a complete turnaround in my life. Though every day was challenging with so much to learn, it was incredibly fulfilling. Returning home to Rotisserie, my hairy companion, and being able to take him for grooming made my days even better. One day, Ms. Miller introduced me to a woman. "She's the daughter of a friend of mine, around your age. She's a single mother raising her son, and she's a great person, and I think you'll get along well." To Ms. Miller, who was somewhat smirking, I indirectly declined, saying, "At this age, now of all times." But she insisted, "Just meet her." Apparently, Ms. Miller enjoyed playing matchmaker. The woman turned out to be Olivia, a classmate from my middle school. When I heard the name, I wondered if it could be Kevin. It's been so long. Olivia. Our reunion as former classmates led to a lively conversation. Olivia had married at 21, had a son at 22, and soon after discovered her husband's infidelity and divorced. She had been working hard ever since, juggling work and raising her son, and time had flown by. And then, Olivia showed me a photo of a white cat. She's keeping it at home now. My cat's name is Snowball. I was torn between Cheese and Snowball, but I chose Snowball because of her beautiful white color, like yogurt. "My son always teases me about my terrible naming sense," she said, so I showed her a photo of Rotisserie. I actually have a cat too, named Rotisserie. I debated between Rotisserie and Burrito for his name. Hearing that, Olivia laughed. "Kevin, your naming sense is quite something too." As Rotisserie and Snowball started spending time together, Olivia and I naturally grew closer. I also became good friends with Olivia's son, Tyler, and the three of us often went out for meals together. "Mom, I'm about to become an adult. It's time for you to start living your own life," Tyler said to Olivia after one of our meals together. Then Tyler turned to me. "Kevin, my mom has worked tirelessly every day to raise me. I want her to live her own life from now on. She seems so happy when she's with you. If it's not too much to ask, please be with her," Tyler requested, and Olivia was moved to tears. "I ask the same of you, please," I replied. Since then, the three of us, along with Rotisserie and Snowball, have been living happily in a cozy house. Occasionally, Ms. Miller and Mr. Miller would visit, and each time, our home would be filled with laughter and joy. I could never have imagined that simply helping someone would lead to such appreciation and change my life so drastically. I feel incredibly fortunate to have met people who value me so much. Ms. Miller always says, "It's a bit late, but this is your reward for living an honest life. And you should have confidence in yourself because you are truly worth it," she would add. While it's still hard for me to have confidence in myself, I am truly grateful to have people who value me that much. With the intent of repaying Ms. Miller and the others for their kindness, I am determined to continue doing my best. One day, a beautiful woman from my school days, looking completely worn out, visited the hamburger shop I run. The dazzling aura she once had was nowhere to be felt. Even though she graduated from Harvard, she got fired because she wasn't useful. It seemed she had her own set of challenges to deal with. Appearances and academic achievements don't define everything about a person. I knew she was diligent and very kind. That's why I decided to have her work at my hamburger shop, but this decision changed everything. My name is John. I'm currently 25 years old. I run a hamburger shop by myself. I graduated from a fairly good university, but I didn't go into a regular company. Honestly, I was confident I could have made it into a big corporation if I had tried. But I just loved hamburger too much. Ignoring job hunting, I worked part-time jobs and traveled all over the country to try different hamburgers. I devoured not just the famous hamburgers, but also the lesser-known ones to my heart's content. Someone like me, whose mind was filled with nothing but hamburger, couldn't possibly settle for a normal job. After graduating from university, I juggled multiple part-time jobs while thoroughly researching how to make hamburger. I experimented over and over again with making my own buns, patties, and toppings. Finally, I came up with a hamburger that I believed was the best in the world, and I opened a small hamburger shop with the money I had saved from my part-time jobs. But currently, my hamburger shop is barely scraping by. Your hamburger is as delicious as ever, John. Thank you. But whenever I come, I never see any other customers. Yay, that's the case. I think there's no other hamburger as delicious as this. I'm confident in the taste, but it's quite difficult to attract customers. It's such a waste. I think you can talk about hamburger without trying this. I appreciate you saying that. That's why, John, I really want you to succeed. Yes. If I couldn't eat this hamburger, I'd probably have nightmares from wanting it too much. I'll do my best. I've had this kind of conversation with regular customers a few times. Everyone says the taste is the best, but hardly anyone other than the regulars comes. So, currently, I'm barely managing to keep the shop afloat, just above the red line. My hamburger is the best. I believe word of mouth will spread, and one day lots of customers will come. I've kept on believing and doing my best with this thought. But recently, a popular hamburger chain opened near my shop, and the already few customers I had dwindled even further. I was feeling the crisis of slipping into the red if things continued as they were. In the still empty store, I pondered, how can we attract more customers? But no good strategy came to mind. I sighed and drank some water. I wonder if any customers will come today. I was lost in thought when someone unexpectedly entered the shop. A bit delayed, I cheerfully greeted, "Hi," only to freeze when I saw the person's face. Well, I never imagined you'd be running a hamburger shop in a place like this. What are you doing here? Hey, is that any way to speak to a customer? I was momentarily at a loss for words, faced with his logic. Still haven't learned how to treat customers. You haven't grown at all since high school. What would you like? Come on, Don't be so cold. It's been what, 7 years since we last saw each other? Silent treatment. Huh, you're still as poor at communication as ever. Please feel free to place your order. Can't you drop the formalities? There's no need for you to be so polite with me. Let's talk more casually. This is so stiff. David laughed mockingly as he said this. It seems like you don't even want to talk to me. Fine, fine. But you must know about the hamburger chain store that opened about a month ago, right? Actually, I'm the area manager there. David looked down on me with a disdainful gaze, as if from above. Seems like you're struggling to attract customers. It's mealtime and not a single person in sight. You must be serving some horrible hamburger. If you're not going to eat, then get out right now. Well, getting bold, are we, John? As if I'd ever eat the hamburger you made. With that, he stood up, opened the door, and left, saying, "No offense, but we'll be taking the customers in this area," with a wicked grin. David and I were in the same class for all 3 years of high school. I never had any particular feelings towards him, but he always looked down on me. For some reason, from the moment we met in high school, he took a disliking to me. It frustrated me, leading to several arguments. But once I realized that talking to him was a waste of time, I decided to ignore him. There are always going to be people who just don't like you for some reason. I knew a few myself. But I had decided to instantly distance myself from such people and avoid any interaction. However, if they forcefully involved themselves, there was nothing I could do. David was exactly that kind of person. During high school, we were in different friend groups. Even when I was with my friends, he would mock and look down on me, and some of my friends would get angry on my behalf. I was grateful, but I always told them, it's okay, it's better not to get involved with him, and kept them from reacting. Who could have imagined that someone with such a history would turn up as the area manager of a popular hamburger chain store nearby? And his parting words, "We'll be taking the customers in this area," became a reality. It was as if he opened the store near mine just to harass me. It felt like a siege, with several of his stores encircling mine. Each of these stores offered hamburger in different styles and flavors and managed to secure a decent number of regular customers. My shop was pushed even further into a tight corner. It was clear that he had opened these stores with the intention of putting mine out of business. Even after opening my own shop, I've continued to research and improve my hamburger every day. I'm confident that the quality of my hamburger has indeed improved. But without customers coming to the store, there was no one to taste my hamburger. I kept struggling, desperately trying to figure out how to survive. Every day, all I thought about was my hamburger shop. I didn't think about anything else, just hamburger. But gradually, the same thoughts began to swirl around in my head, and I hit a wall. It felt like I was suffocating. For a while, I tried to keep going, but I reached a point where I couldn't anymore. If I keep thinking about hamburger all the time, I'll go crazy. With that thought, I decided to go out into the city for the first time in a long while. Being cooped up in my hamburger shop, thinking only about hamburger, it never even occurred to me to wander around the city. As I walked through the streets, my gloomy mood seemed to lighten. Seeing people walking around happily made me want to have them try my hamburger. I was just aimlessly walking around the city, but I felt like I regained some energy. And then, I headed straight back to my hamburger shop, determined to make even more delicious hamburger to attract people. That's when I ran into someone I never expected to see. A beautiful classmate from high school, Emily. Could it be, Emily? Huh, Sean? What happened? You look like you just ran away from home. Oh no, after all this time and I show up looking like a mess. No, I didn't mean it like that. but it's been since high school since we last saw each other, right? What a failure. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Even if you don't mind, I do. Okay, let's put that aside for now. What brings you to the city? Lately, things haven't been going well, and before I knew it, I was here. You ended up here without realizing. Something's been bothering you. A lot has been happening, yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't step outside looking like this. Indeed, the Emily I knew had an image of being beautiful and fashionable. Though I'm not one to talk about fashion sense, it honestly felt like she had suddenly come to the city in clothes she had worn at home for years. Yet, her beauty was still intact. It's true that you normally wouldn't go out dressed like that. Right. Even you saying I look like I ran away from home made me realize. You must have been really stressed out. Yes, and it's still ongoing. I see, that sounds tough. Exactly, right in the middle of tough times. Now that you mention it, you do look a bit pale. Are you eating properly? I might not be eating much. I just don't feel like it. You do look a bit thin. I don't think it's appropriate to say that to a woman. Sorry, but you should eat. Otherwise, you'll definitely collapse. I know I should eat, but sometimes I just forget. Emily, do you have time after this? Are you trying to hit on me at a time like this? No, actually, I'm running a hamburger shop nearby. I thought maybe you could try my hamburger. Wow, John, you're working at a hamburger shop. I run it by myself. By yourself? You mean you're the owner? That's amazing. Not really amazing, but I'm very confident in the taste. I feel like I've finally got an appetite. Please let me try it. Then let's go. It's just around the corner from here. Hamburger, huh? It's been a while since I've had any. Do you like hamburger? Yeah, but it's high in calories, right? So I felt guilty eating it and only had it occasionally, but I love it. Good to hear. I'm a bit worried if it'll meet your taste though. If you made it, it'll be fine. I hope so. Walking side by side with her, we headed toward the store, chatting along the way. As we talked, she seemed to gradually look better. My heart felt lighter as we strolled through the city, and even more so as I talked with her. And I thought, she is still so beautiful and charming. Since graduating from high school, Emily, though a bit worn out, had become even more beautiful in her adulthood. I treasured the lucky chance to converse with her as we arrived at my shop. Wow, this is your place, huh? She looked around the shop curiously. Hello, how can I help you? Don't you sound a bit listless? Is that how you greet customers too? Welcome, how can I help you? There you go. You can do it when you try, though I guess I'm one to talk, feeling down myself. My hamburger might cheer you up a bit. Take a seat here and wait. Okay. After seating her at the counter, I made the hamburger with even more care than usual, hoping that Emily would feel a bit better despite feeling down. When I served the hamburger, she said, "It looks really delicious." She then took a slurp of the hamburger. I was confident in the taste, but unsure how she would find it, making me a bit nervous. What if she didn't like it? But she seemed to really enjoy it. Just as I thought, the hamburger you make is delicious. I'm glad, that's a relief. I feel like I've had a proper meal for the first time in a while. It's given me a bit of energy. If it's made Emily feel better, then it was worth making. While she ate, I debated whether to ask why she was feeling down. But after she finished, I felt I should ask. Can I ask you something a bit personal? Sure, what is it? Why are you feeling down? That's very direct. I figured I'd end up asking anyway, so might as well get straight to the point. That makes sense. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. I actually resigned from my job. What? But didn't you get into Harvard? You were the only one in our year, I remember. You're smart and capable. What happened? I was working at a design company, but I didn't get along with my boss and we argued a lot. Sounds like a common story. Right, it's something that happens in any company. But it's not common to resign because of it. I never thought I'd resign either, but being told I'm useless despite being from Harvard really hurt. Sounds like your boss just didn't like you personally. That might be true. After all, I was practically forced to resign over something I don't even recall doing. That's awful. I don't really want to go into details, but it was quite a shock to see how far people can go when they dislike someone. I couldn't help but think of David, the area manager of the popular hamburger chain. I kind of understand how you feel. I've had my own experiences. That's why, after resigning, I've found it hard to move forward. It's understandable that it would become a trauma. Exactly. I haven't been able to find a new job because of that trauma. So, you're not doing anything at the moment. I want to job hunt, but the thought of being dismissed as useless despite being from Harvard again makes my feet freeze. I thought her dejection was understandable. Being labeled as useless would shock anyone. I'd probably feel the same. Hearing her story, I racked my brain for any helpful advice I could offer. But having never job hunted or been employed myself, the best I could offer was mental support. Then, an idea struck me. Emily, how about working here at my shop? She seemed surprised. At this hamburger shop? Yeah, if you're okay with it. I appreciate the offer, but right now, you are hurt, and stepping into an unfamiliar place full of strangers might be daunting. That's true. But here, it's just me. I would never say anything like your previous boss. I know you wouldn't say anything terrible. I think working at my shop could be a form of rehabilitation. Just don't expect a big salary. Are you sure? It sounds like a great offer to me. Absolutely. If you're up for it, let's work together. She smiled and nodded, saying yes in response to me. Thank you, I'm really happy. You're welcome. If I'm going to work here, I want to be useful. What's the situation with the shop? Truthfully, it's not great. We're barely getting by with just the regulars. The other customers have all gone to the chain stores. Really? Upon saying that, her face took on a contemplative expression. It was as if I could almost hear the gears turning in her head. She suggested that investigating the rival chain stores might be a good first step. I knew that each chain store had been successful by offering hamburger in different styles to customers. However, I've never actually set foot inside the store. I had been considering going, but decided against it after the area manager, David, visited my shop. I think it's probably best if I don't go with you. Would you mind going on your own? Ah, I see. It'd be awkward if the rival store recognized you, right? Something like that. Then, I'll go have a look now. I was genuinely surprised. Having just finished a hamburger, it's incredible to think about heading straight into a rival store right after. It was hard to believe she was struggling with job hunting. Maybe it's because of the hamburger you made for me. I feel energized and can't sit still. But aren't you full? There's no need to rush. It's fine. I haven't had a proper meal in a while, so I still have some room left. That sounds like it's been more than just a while. All right, I'll hear the rest later. I'm off then. Watching her brisk departure, I was left in astonishment. Her actions in the days that followed were impressive. In just a few days, she had visited all the chain stores in the area and pinpointed their characteristics. I could never match her efficiency. I think the taste here definitely wins. I'm not trying to put down the chain stores, but my hamburger is unique to this place. I'm absolutely confident in its uniqueness. That's definitely an advantage we should push. What about their menu? Since they're chain stores, it's natural they have a common menu, but each shop had a wide variety, and the dishes all looked appealing. I've been focused on perfecting a single taste, so I haven't thought much about diversifying the menu. I think that's fine. They have their strength in a diverse menu, but we should focus on excelling in one thing. I feel like we're differentiating ourselves in that respect. Right, what you've been doing isn't wrong. Let's aim for further improvement in taste. I do that almost every day, but being alone, I couldn't get any objective opinions. Having you here allows for that. So, we can strengthen our current hamburger together. Exactly. It's really reassuring and helpful. Let's do our best. That's the plan. Oh wait, tomorrow's the day off. So, we start the day after tomorrow. We left the shop and went our separate ways home. Having worked with Emily for only a few days, I felt incredibly happy. She was full of life and always willing to talk. Worrying about what to do with the shop by myself feels like a distant memory. Having just one person with the same goal made such a big difference in motivation. But it wasn't just about sharing the same goal. The fact that it was Emily working with me made a significant impact. Honestly, she was someone I admired in high school, and she seemed out of reach. She was the epitome of beauty and brains, and although I wanted to talk to her, I rarely found the courage. She did talk to me occasionally, but I always felt it was too presumptuous for me to initiate conversation. I never thought the connection we lost after high school would be rekindled. Life is unpredictable. I spent the day off relaxing for the first time in a while. Before reuniting with her, my mind was constantly preoccupied with hamburger, leaving me restless. I wonder when was the last time I spent a day off feeling this peaceful. It felt like such a long time since I had that thought. After the best day off, I left home 2 hours earlier than usual. I was going to teach Emily the ropes. Thinking I needed to give my all today, I turned the corner to see a crowd in front of my shop. What's going on? Had something happened? And right in front of my shop, no less. Hoping nothing dire had occurred, I headed towards my shop. At first glance, it looked like a line forming in front of my store. But it seemed unlikely that my shop would suddenly become so popular as to have a queue. Curious, I circled to the back door and entered the shop. I thought about asking someone, "What's going on?" but decided against it, fearing I might get involved in something troublesome. I had to focus on teaching Emily today, so I started preparing without further ado. When I checked, the remaining hamburger that should have been there was gone. There were supposed to be a few hamburgers. Was I mistaken? Otherwise, it meant the hamburgers had somehow disappeared. As I was pondering this, Emily arrived. After greeting her, I asked, "Emily, did you do something yesterday? I thought there were some hamburgers left, but they are gone." "I didn't have time for that. You cite too, right? There are customers lined up in front of the shop." "No, I don't think they were lining up for my shop." "Don't worry, I asked them, and they said they were waiting for the opening." "I find that hard to believe." Okay, we can talk about this later. Let's finish the preparations first." "Right, if they really are lining up for us, today's going to be incredibly busy." See. Following Emily's suggestion, I finished the preparations and quickly taught her the tasks in the hall. She caught on surprisingly fast, understanding everything after being told just once. I was amazed by her quick comprehension and efficiency. And indeed, if Emily hadn't been there, the shop wouldn't have managed that day. Because customer after customer kept arriving, filling the shop and resulting in the highest sales ever. With disbelief, I parted ways with Emily that day with a smile. From that day on, customers continuously visited my shop. I wondered about the reason, but serving delicious hamburger to the customers was more important. We worked frantically, barely managing the overwhelming crowd. Then, one day, about a month later, the area manager David showed up. "Hey, John, what's going on?" "What do you mean what's going on? Don't shout, there are still customers here." "I don't care about your customers. How did you attract so many people? You must have slandered our chain, haven't you? Otherwise, there's no way they'd come to eat your crappy hamburger." "Don't say such baseless things. What you're doing now is exactly the kind of negative campaigning you're accusing me of." "Evidence. The fact that so many people are gathering at your shop is the evidence. What did you do? Tell me. It's because of you that our sales have plummeted." I was so frustrated with his irrational yelling that I almost hit him. "We still have customers here, you know. Are you aware that you're disturbing them while they're enjoying their meal?" That thought brought a surge of anger within me. Just when I was at my limit, Emily sharply intervened. "Don't take it out on John. Yesterday, I went around the town offering free hamburger and handing out flyers. People who thought our hamburger was better than your shops just decided to come. So that's what happened." I understood why there were people lined up before opening, and why the hamburgers had disappeared. According to Emily, she used the design skills she honed at the design company to create flyers for our shop. She had taken hamburgers and flyers around town to promote our shop. Undoubtedly, Emily's beauty also played a significant role. There were definitely customers who came just to see her. In any case, it was all thanks to Emily. The word of mouth around town brought customers to my shop. And conversely, the customers at David's chain store decreased. "Emily, are you working here?" "Yes, it's been a while, David." I knew her as a classmate, but he was also in the same class. I don't recall them hanging out together in high school. In fact, there were probably no boys who could easily talk to her. "Come on, Emily from Harvard working in this tiny, terrible hamburger place. Quit joking around." It's all thanks to Emily that we have so many customers, isn't it? A dimwit like John couldn't come up with such a plan. If you're willing, how about leaving this puny shop for our company? I can guarantee a higher salary, and with my recommendation, you could be promoted to area manager in no time. Don't be so familiar as to call me by my name without permission. I don't remember giving you that right. You used to call me by my name in high school too, but did you forget that I ignored you for that? Hey. Let me be clear, I wouldn't want to work with someone who belittles others' businesses like you do. Above all, I like John's hamburger. His face turned pale as if he had been rejected, and he left the shop with a defeated look, seemingly forgetting my presence. To see David, who was always so confident, knocked down with just one blow. As I thought to myself, that's amazing, and turned towards Emily, she gave a bright smile. Soon after this incident, Emily expressed her gratitude to me. She thanked me for hiring her when she was at her lowest. Eating my hamburger helped her regain her strength. She confessed that she had always admired how earnestly I dedicated myself to one thing since high school. I had been hesitant to speak to Emily, but it turned out she had been just as hesitant to approach me. And so, I accepted her confession, and we started dating. As for David, who stormed into my shop, a customer reported the entire incident to his company, tarnishing its reputation. As a result, he was demoted. Stripped of his title as area manager, he now spends his days in the countryside as a regular employee, with plenty of free time on his hands. But that's no longer my concern. Currently, we are working together at the hamburger shop. Now, with a constant stream of customers, we're so busy that we're discussing whether to hire part-time workers. We're even thinking about opening a second location. Things are going that well. My relationship with Emily is also thriving, and I'm planning to propose to her on her upcoming birthday.